Liberals and gentlemen, this is a response to the Wall Street Meltdown Explained video. Explained, yeah. This user attempts at the 40-second mark to paint President Bush as an idiot when a reporter asserted to him that some analysts were projecting $4 a gallon gas. However, wonder if this user realizes that Nancy Pelosi had no clue what the price of gas was back in April 2008. She told Larry King that it was $2.59 on average, but higher in California. King corrected her. The national average is $3.50. She said, "Oh, it's $3.50. Okay. Nancy, you're only almost a buck off." I guess Nancy doesn't get out of her ivory tower in San Francisco much, eh? Eh, hoser? Apparently, Nancy also doesn't know that natural gas is a fossil fuel. In an August 24th, 2008 appearance on Meet the Depressed, Nancy said this. Nimrod Nancy said this about natural gas. I'm investing in something I believe in. I believe in natural gas as a clean, cheap alternative to fossil fuels. These investments in wind, solar, and biofuels and focus on natural gas, these are the real alternatives. I don't know. Did Nancy go to... She probably went to a public school, so you'll have to excuse her. But natural gas is a fossil fuel, Nancy. Maybe you should get out a little more often. Is it something in the water in San Francisco? I've never been to that city, but I heard it drops your IQ 20 points just by going inside the city limits. Then this user basically rehashes and recycles the garbage he used in his How the U.S. Mortgage Industry Collapsed video. This time he's still not referencing the graphs, he's cutting and pasting. The graph he puts up at 221 doesn't extend back to the 1970s and 80s, which featured windfall profits, taxes, and price controls. The price of gas skyrocketed in the early 80s. He didn't want you to see that because you'd see a massive spike in there when Jimmy Carter was in office and the carryover into Reagan's administration. We've already dealt with this in another two-part response. The reasons oil went up has a lot more to do with environmentalist government policy and supply and demand than anything else. He's just repackaging garbage inside a new wrapper. We also demonstrate that monetary policy can and does affect oil prices. He attempts to simply link higher oil prices with an economic decline. That's a false knee-jerk response. Consider this. On January 2nd, 1979, the Dow closed at 811.42. On January 2nd, 1980, it closed at 824.57. On January 2nd, 1981, it closed at 972.78. Yet 1980 had negative GDP growth. On January 4th, 1982, it closed at 882.52. On June 1st, 1982, it closed at 814.97. On December 31st, 1982, right in the middle of a terrible economy which featured negative GDP growth for the entire year, and unemployment went up to 10.8%, the Dow closed at 1,046.54. The Dow was up over 28% right in the middle of an economic crisis. Just some cursory research there destroys his argument. I could go into more detail, but maybe I will at a future date. If he wants to say, well, the Dow went up because of Reagan, well, he's going to get himself in trouble because Reagan lowered the capital gains tax from 25% to 20%. Reagan made his first round of income tax cuts in 1982, and they took effect on January 1st, 1983. And he also cut corporate taxes. So if he wants to go that route, he's going to get himself in trouble there. So we'll have to see what he does. Lastly, we have another graph at 434 that goes back to 1990, but not the price controls and windfall profits tax dominated 1970s and 1980s. I thought that was quite hilarious. At 541, we get a graph detailing budget surpluses and deficits. Notice that Clinton's last 3 years had surpluses, but Clinton had these surpluses because he worked well with a GOP-controlled House and Senate. All budget proposals emanate from the House. The president is not the lawmaker. Maybe he needs a civics class. Clinton's budget increases were only an inflation-adjusted 1.2%, and Bush's were 3.6%. I guess this means he's now not very happy with Obama because his Congressional Budget Office says we're going to run trillion-dollar deficits this year and next year with a $900+ billion deficit in 2011. Clinton also cut the capital gains tax to 20% from 28%, signed welfare reform after vetoing it once, and signed NAFTA, our biggest free trade agreement ever. Compare that with Obama. Obama wants to raise the capital gains tax, wants to make TANF, T-A-N-F, temporary assistance for needy families, open-ended like Social Security, and he's poo-pooed NAFTA. So Obama's nothing like Clinton. He's way to the left of Bill Clinton, if you can believe that. As for his arguments that Bush was unelected, we'll just politely direct him to Dave Chappelle's essay on this issue, found at the right side of this video. Have a nice day, and don't thank us now.